The thing about working for the Department of Homeland Security's Intelligence Division is that your family never really understands what classified means. Not really. To them, it's just a word you use to sound important to avoid explaining your boring desk job to make yourself seem more interesting than you actually are. Before we dive into how a single live stream destroyed my entire family, drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. I'd love to know who's part of our community. It was the 4th of July in Bethesda, Maryland, and the humidity was already suffocating even with the sun still high in the sky. Outside, the world was preparing for fireworks and barbecue, a celebration of freedom that felt miles away from the mahogany-paneled library where I'd spent the last 6 hours. My father, Russell, called it his sanctuary, a place for sipping scotch and reading biographies of great men, but today it was a war room. I am 29 years old, a senior cryptologist for the NSA, but in this house I am still just Maya, the quiet one, the one who didn't become a neurosurgeon like my brother Asher or an internet celebrity like my sister Skylar. I'm the one with the government job that nobody talks about because nobody understands it. While my family popped champagne on the sprawling lawn, I was staring at a laptop screen that was the only thing standing between the eastern seaboard and a digital apocalypse. A heuristic virus had been detected in the infrastructure grid, a silent creeping code designed to shut down power stations one by one. My team and I were running counter protocols, racing against an invisible clock. The library door rattled. Not a knock but a demand. Maya, seriously. Skylar's voice came through the heavy wood, muffled but piercing. Mom says you're ruining the vibe. It's literally a party. I didn't answer. Couldn't. My hands were flying across the keyboard, executing a containment script. Open up. Asher's voice joined in, arrogant and loud. We're doing shots. Don't be such a buzzkill. I ignored them. This was the dynamic. It always had been. To them, my silence wasn't focus. It was a lack of personality. My closed doors weren't security measures. They were proof of my social ineptitude. They thought I was hiding in here because I was ashamed of my life, ashamed that I wasn't as shiny or loud or successful as they were. Go away, I muttered more to myself than to them. The encryption key was complex, a shifting algorithm that required total concentration. Maya! My mother Tanya's voice now, sharp with irritation. Your father wants everyone outside for the toast. Stop hiding in there with your little computer games. Little computer games. That's what she thought this was. That's what they all thought. I was playing pretend while the real adults did important things like take selfies and discuss golf handicaps. I finished the sequence, my heart rate slowing as the green confirmation text scrolled across my screen. Crisis averted. Now. I exhaled, leaning back in the leather chair. The silence in the room felt heavy, charged with the secrets I carried. I stood up and stretched, my muscles stiff. I needed to make a secure call to my supervisor, a mandatory check-in to confirm the patch was holding. The terrace off the library was private, shielded by thick hedges. I grabbed my encrypted phone, locked the library door with a heavy deadbolt, and stepped out into the humid afternoon air. I checked the lock twice. It was a reflex, a habit drilled into me over years of handling information that could topple governments. Secure the perimeter. Trust no one. Call was brief. Patch is stable, I reported. Monitoring for secondary vectors. Good work, Maya, my supervisor said. Enjoy your holiday. Enjoy my holiday. I almost laughed. I hung up and turned back to the library, ready to pack up my gear and face the firing squad of my family's disappointment. But as I reached for the handle of the terrace door, my stomach dropped. It was open. I had locked it. I knew I had locked it. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air conditioning hit me first, cool and crisp, followed immediately by the sound of laughter. My mother, Tanya, was standing by my desk. She held a screwdriver in her hand. My heavy-duty biometric briefcase, the one that never left my sight, was sitting open on the desk, its metal latches bent and broken. Finally, Tanya said, tossing the screwdriver onto the desk with a clatter. I knew you were hiding something. No one is this secretive without a vice. My blood ran cold. She had broken into my case. She had actually used tools to force it open because she couldn't conceive of a world where my privacy was valid. She thought I was hiding drugs. Or maybe a diary. Or shameful secrets that would explain why I wasn't perfect like them. Where are they? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Where are what? Tanya asked innocently, picking up a stack of papers. Oh, these. The boring papers. Skylar has them. I spun around. Skylar was sitting in my father's leather armchair, her phone held high in front of her face, the ring light attached to it glowing ominously. She was live. "Hey guys," she chirped, her voice bright and performative. "So, we finally broke into my boring sister's secret briefcase. We thought we'd find like a secret boyfriend or maybe a stash of weed, but look at this." She held up a sheet of paper. My heart stopped. It was a code sheet, a physical backup of the encryption keys I had just used. At the top, in bold red letters, it was stamped, "Top secret // no forn." "It's just numbers." Skylar laughed, shoving the paper closer to the camera lens. "Literally just pages and pages of random numbers. She's such a nerd, you guys. Look at this. Who even reads this stuff?" She flipped the page. Another sheet. Another set of codes. I stood frozen in the doorway, my mind processing the scene in a series of terrifying flashes. Skylar had 2 million followers. The chat on her screen was scrolling so fast it was a blur. People were taking screenshots. Bots were scraping the feed. Foreign intelligence agencies monitored influencer accounts for exactly this kind of accidental leak. The breach wasn't just in this room. It was global. It had happened in seconds. "Skylar," I said, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. "Put the phone down." She glanced at me, rolling her eyes. Oh, here she is. The mystery woman herself. "Maya, say hi to the stream. We're unboxing your boring life." "Put it down." I stepped forward, my hands clenched into fists. "God, you're so dramatic," Skylar scoffed, turning the camera back to herself. "She's literally shaking, you guys. Over paperwork. It's not even interesting paperwork." I looked at my mother. Tanya was smiling, watching Skylar with indulgent pride. She didn't see a crime. She didn't see treason. She saw her daughter creating content. She saw a funny family moment. I looked at the papers scattered on the desk. The Dunning-Kruger effect in action. They were so incompetent, so profoundly ignorant of the world I lived in, that they couldn't even recognize the danger they were holding in their hands. They thought because they didn't understand it, it couldn't possibly be important. Their arrogance was a shield, protecting them from the horror of what they had just done. But that shield was about to shatter. I didn't scream. I didn't lunge for the phone. That would only cause a struggle, make the footage more viral, draw more attention. I went cold. A switch flipped in my brain. The part of me that was Maya, the daughter, the sister, the disappointment, quietly stepped back. The part of me that was a senior cryptologist, a federal agent, an operator stepped forward. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. I didn't unlock it with a passcode. I entered a specific sequence of buttons on the side. It was the burn notice protocol. A silent alarm that went directly to the National Security Operations Center. It signaled a Level 1 compromise. Active breach. Hostile actors on site. Immediate containment required. "Okay," I said, my voice flat, devoid of any emotion. "You have compromised a federal asset." "Oh my God, listen to her," Skylar laughed, reading the chat. "Someone said she sounds like a robot. You guys are savage." My father, Russell, walked into the room, a glass of scotch in his hand. He looked at the broken briefcase, then at me. "What is all the noise?" he demanded, his voice booming with the authority he used to command boardrooms. "Maya, why are you ruining the mood?" "They broke into my briefcase," I said, locking eyes with him. "They are broadcasting classified material to the internet." Russell chuckled, shaking his head. "Classified? Please. You work in a cubicle, Maya. Stop trying to make yourself sound important. It's pathetic." He walked over to Skylar and peered at the phone. "Is that the live thing? Hello everyone. I'm the dad. Yes, the house is custom built." He preened for the camera. "Put the phones down," I said. "Now." Russell turned to me, his face hardening. He stepped into my space, using his height and bulk to intimidate me. It was a move he had used my entire life. The patriarch asserting dominance. The alpha male reminding the weak female who was in charge. "You will respect me in my house," he snarled, looming over me. "You will apologize to your sister for being a hysterical brat, and you will stop this nonsense immediately. Do you hear me?" I looked up at him. I didn't flinch. I didn't step back. "I am not asking you as your daughter," I said. "I am ordering you as a federal agent. Put the phone down, or you will be treated as a hostile combatant. Russell blinked, taken aback by the ice in my tone. He laughed, a nervous, angry sound. Federal agent. You're a data entry clerk. Don't you dare threaten me. I looked at Skylar. She was still streaming, but her smile was faltering. The comments were changing. People were asking what the papers were. Someone had recognized the header. Asher called out. My brother appeared in the doorway, holding a beer. What? Why is everyone yelling? What network does your hospital run on? Yes. What? Asher frowned. I don't know. The Medlink system. Why? I pointed to the paper Skylar was holding. Those aren't just codes, Asher, I said, my voice cutting through the room like a scalpel. That sheet. That is the master encryption key for the Medlink system. It covers the entire Eastern Seaboard hospital grid. Asher froze. The beer bottle paused halfway to his mouth. What? He whispered. Skylar just broadcast the keys to the kingdom, I continued, relentless. Every hacker, every state actor, every terrorist with an internet connection now has the ability to override the security protocols of your hospital. I stepped toward him. They can shut off ventilators in your ICU, Asher. They can alter dosages in automated 4 pumps. They can erase patient records. And you let her teach them how. Asher went gray. His eyes flicked from the printout in Skylar's hand to her phone. Skylar, he rasped. Turn it off. She blinked. What? Just paper. Maya's lying. Turn it off, he shouted, lunging. He snatched the phone and killed the stream, but it was too late. The video had been live for 3 minutes. Long enough. Online, that was forever. You're lying, Tanya whispered, hand shaking. You're trying to scare us. I wish I was, I said. Then we heard it. A low, heavy thrum that vibrated in our ribs. It swelled until the library windows rattled. What is that? Russell asked, moving to the glass. That, I said quietly, is the response team. The thrum became a roar. 3 black, unmarked helicopters swept over the lawn, downdraft crushing the rose beds and whipping party debris into a cyclone. Searchlights snapped on, slicing through daylight and locking onto the bay windows. The room turned into a white-hot trap. What the hell? Russell yelled, shielding his face. I'm calling the police. This is private property. Get on the ground, I said. He stared. What? Get on the ground. I screamed. If you want to live. They aren't police. They're tactical response. They see a threat and neutralize it. Down. The front doors didn't open. They detonated inward. Boots hammered across marble. Voices barked. Federal agents. Move. Move. My family froze, unable to process body armor and rifles in their mansion. In their world you sued people. You didn't get raided. Down. I shoved Tanya to the floor. Asher dropped to his knees, hands laced over his head. Skylar shrieked, thin and panicked. Russell stayed upright, furious and confused. Do you know who I am? I'm Russell Vance. I demand to speak to. 6 agents flooded the library. Red laser dots crawled over walls and faces. Hostiles secured, one called. On the ground. Now. Another snapped at Russell. When he hesitated, 2 agents hit him, pinning him to the Persian rug and wrenching his arm behind his back. Zip ties cinched with a sound like a shot. Get off me, he bellowed into the wool. This is a mistake. My daughter works for you, she's just a clerk. Tell them, Maya. I kept my hands high, showing I wasn't armed. I watched them cuff my mother, haul Skylar away sobbing, and restrain Asher, his surgeon's hands trembling. A tall man in tactical gear entered without a helmet, silver-haired, eyes worn by years of hard choices. Commander Vance, head of tactical division. He took in the wreckage, the briefcase, scattered papers, my family on the floor, then looked at me. He walked past Russell's protests and Tanya's crying, stopped in front of me and saluted. Assets secured, ma'am, he said. Perimeters locked. Your orders. Silence crushed the room. Russell stopped fighting. Tanya's breath caught. Asher stared. For the first time they really saw me. Not the disappointment, but the person a commander saluted. Secure the electronics, I said steadily. Confiscate all devices. Bag the hard copies. Take them into custody. Maya, please, Tanya whispered. I felt no triumph, just a cold, heavy grief. Integrity isn't a badge. It's a knife. Sometimes you protect the many by cutting away the few, even when the few are your family. Take them away. The fallout was absolute. Schuyler was charged under the Espionage Act for broadcasting national defense information. Her career and freedom burned in one afternoon. Russell and Tanya were fined $500,000 for unauthorized access and destruction of government property. Legal fees bankrupted them. They lost the house, the club, the status they worshipped. Asher lost his license. Negligence made him a liability no hospital would insure. 2 years later, deep underground in a secure facility, Director Walsh pinned a medal to my lapel for holding operational integrity under extreme duress. I stood alone. My family had disowned me, casting me as their villain. They would never understand I'd saved them from treason charges, or saved thousands of patients up and down the coast. I looked at the medal. I was the silent watchman, standing the wall so others could sleep, protecting people who hated what it cost. And I knew I'd do it again. Because integrity can cost you the people you love, but it protects the people who need you.